On December 8, 1941, President Franklin D. Roosevelt gave a speech. This speech marked the start of a new war for America. The speech told the nation about the bombing of Pearl Harbor and the other places that the Japanese attacked, including Malaya, Hong Kong, Guam, the Philippine Islands, Wake Island, and Midway Island. The speech also told about all the lives lost. The purpose of his speech overall was to inform Congress about the attacks and ask for a state of war against the Japanese Empire. And in the end, his purpose was met and history was made. The audience of the speech was the United States of America. In his speech, Roosevelt directly addressed Congress when he asked for a state of war against Japan. I could imagine myself listening to Roosevelt on the radio while sitting on the floor in my living room with my family and feeling the way America felt on that infamous day. The main message of this speech was to inform Congress and ask for a state of war against Japan. The minor messages were everything that the Japanese had done to the U.S. and the rest of the world for the past few days. The speech did come through very well, and it started World War II for the United States. The emotion of the speech was straightforward, intense, and somber. In the speech, he gets to the point without sugarcoating the details and tells America exactly what has happened the past few days. His speech is also very intense because it is about the horrible attack at Pearl Harbor. With that being said, it adds a somber mood to the overall effect of the speech. In the video of the speech, he added to the emotion by standing and walking, even though he was wheelchair bound. This also gave a sense of urgency to the entire speech. The language of the speech includes literal language, anaphora, and ethnic identity. He uses literal language by getting straight to the point and not straying from the facts. He keeps it very, here's how it is. He uses anaphora, which is the repetition of words at the beginning of a sentence to emphasize a point, by saying, last night, Japanese forces attacked Hong Kong. Last night, Japanese forces attacked Guam. Last night, Japanese forces attacked the Philippine Islands. Last night, the Japanese attacked Wake Island. He also uses ethnic identity by stating the names Japanese, Empire of Japan, and Americans throughout his entire speech. His speech was organized in chronological order. It starts with what has happened in the past few days, and then as the speech goes on, it ends with the president asking for a state of war as an ends to a mean. President Roosevelt wrote this speech himself within a few hours of making his delivery. And after watching the video of the speech, I came to the conclusion that the speech was delivered very well. His speech was a good length, he gave a good amount of pauses, and his point came across. My reaction was that the delivery of his speech was excellent, and I would support the quest for victory against the Japanese. We can learn that we can be very literal, show emotion, and that speeches do not have to be very long to make it meaningful. From the textbook, some aspects were seen in his speech. He made good eye contact, was slow enough to understand, used a variety of language, including literal language, anaphora, and ethnic identity, and overall his speech was very well organized. In Roosevelt's Day of Infamy speech, he directly addressed Congress and he called out the Japanese Empire. Although this speech was intense and somber, his delivery was impeccable. I could see myself in the audience listening and being fired up about the tragedy that has occurred on American soil. His speech was very well organized and easy to follow along. A date that will live in infamy, spoken by President Roosevelt on December 8, 1941, gave the title of his speech that will forever live in United States history. Roosevelt's Day of Infamy speech sparked a drive in the Americans to defend and support their country, and a new war was introduced to the United States and the rest of the world. This speech was the beginning of World War II for the United States, and in the end, the Americans and its allies were victorious.